Jordan Lukomwa, Elizabeth Nakakuni, the lady herself, has already joined us for sign language interpretation. In our first story this evening, President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni on the 3rd of May 2024 received a special message from the King of Eswatini, His Majesty Mswati III. The message was delivered by Eswatini Prince Lindani Nkosi during a sideline meeting of the African parliamentarians with the President at State House in Entebbe. The prince's visit to Uganda coincided with his participation in the Second African Interparliamentary Conference. Honorable Sarah Opendi, the conference chair, highlighted Prince Lindani's presence and the significance of King Mswati's message to President Museveni. She said, Your Excellency, among the African parliamentarians, we also have Prince Lindani with us, who has a special message for you from his father, King Mswati III. He delivered the message. Ministry of Internal Affairs, in collaboration with Interpol Thailand, have repatriated 21 Ugandan victims of human trafficking. This repatriation follows numerous complaints of Ugandans stuck in Myanmar after being trafficked. On this cause, Sabuka Edith has been apprehended as a suspect for illegally trafficking Ugandans abroad. We have details to this.
The Ministry of Internal Affairs, together with the Thailand government and other non-governmental organizations, have successfully rescued 26 Ugandan victims of human trafficking, and these are currently safeguarded by authorities in Thailand.
They are in the right hands of authorities in Thailand. This has been a process, continuous negotiations, and also, of course, carefully ensuring that their lives are not risked at all. Because remember, you mentioned if we risk their lives, they can easily be killed by the rebel gangs there.
With government's ongoing efforts to curb human trafficking activities within the country, the Ministry of Internal Affairs, with support from Uganda Police, have arrested Sabuka Edith as a suspect for aiding the trafficking of persons.
This one managed to come back into the country on 27th of April, but the good news, she has been arrested. She's in police custody. So we hope that when our people finally return, we shall start off with her case.
In a similar operation, the UPDF have rescued 4 Ugandan nationals from the South Sudan borders after being abducted by a group of South Sudanese rebels from Oyam in Kitgum district.
The 4 rescued victims were abducted while gardening in a place called Kabongum, and these include Longaren, Amien, Ayela, and another one. We are happy to see to it that they were rescued and are back home alive.
Meanwhile, the Directorate of Criminal Intelligence (CID) are calling upon the public to assist in identifying torture perpetrators following the viral circulation of torture videos of an unidentified woman on the internet.
In the videos, there is a vulnerable woman dressed in a blue blouse and black skirt or short. She's subjected to torture where she's carved in an awkward position, her hands and legs tied together, and the perpetrators of violence were continuing to burn her body with hot melting droplets from a plastic jerrycan. If anybody knows them or if they are out there, we also call upon them to come forward and help our detectives explore the torture in great detail. We shall not stop until the alleged perpetrators are identified and brought to justice.
Police cautions both local and foreign tourists in Jinja to remain vigilant following the surging cases of theft and burglary by organized criminal gangs. Patricia Nandago and Rogers Komagum for UBC.
Prime Minister Robin Nabanja has called upon all young people to embrace vocational training in order to reduce unemployment in the country. Nabanja says government is focusing on equipping the youth with the tools they need to succeed and to ensure they are job creators. She was officiating at the graduation ceremony of 450 youth who were undergoing skills development at Bunyoro Industrial Hub in Masinde district.
22-year-old Abdul Madid bin Adam Tindiebwa, a resident of Hoima district, dropped out of school. His mother could not pay his school fees to further his education. Tindiebwa learned about the Bunyoro Zonal Presidential Industrial Hubs, where he trained in bakery. Tindiebwa is now a chef at one of the hotels in Hoima after he attained the vocational skills. Bunyoro Zonal Presidential Industrial Hub is among the 18 hubs established across the country by the president to impart practical skills to the youth in order to solve the rampant unemployment. The tutors here say the skills acquired, irrespective of one's background, are equivalent to Senior Force Certificate recognized internationally. The Prime Minister, Robin Nabanja, urged all young people to embrace vocational training to address unemployment.
Through his wise leadership, has come up with a number of government programs to help you. And now I want to use this opportunity to inform you that when I go back to Kampala, I will coordinate all the relevant ministries. For the ladies, we have a GROW program. That's a World Bank funded program. It has both a grant and a loan. A loan at 6%. Are we together? And so you don't need to go to money lenders to borrow. So I just need to see the coordinator of GROW in this district and all the districts across the country to help our youth who are graduating from here to see that they get access to that money.
Each learner was awarded with a certificate by the Directorate of Industrial Training. I'm Navka Farida, reporting.
Uganda National Roads Authority has clarified that they are only going to rectify defects on the bridge as emergency works to aid continuity or transport as government finalizes preparations for the construction of a new bridge at Karuma. The head of communications, Alan Sempewa, said that the repair works of Karuma Bridge are anticipated to be complete within 3 months.
Karuma Bridge was constructed in 1963 to aid in transportation of cotton from Masindi and Gulu, West Nile region to Mwanza textiles and Jinja. The 61-year-old bridge has been the biggest single carriage bridge facilitating passage to West Nile, northern Uganda and across neighboring regions.
Especially underneath the bridge structure, from the approach Gulu side of the bridge and the approach from Kampala side.
Due to overloading and depreciating lifespan, the bridge has been weakened and fewer repairs have been done to keep the bridge safe. In the emergency response, Uganda National Roads Authority closed the bridge to heavy cargo, leaving only lighter vehicles carrying low tonnage of at least 28 people to use the bridge.
We're avoiding a scenario where we have to load the bridge with heavier traffic, yet we haven't fixed that problem. So let's first fix the challenge we have posed with right now, and then we'll reinstate the traffic flow.
Inspections and diagnostic studies to ascertain the damages on the bridge, required repairs and costings are currently being done by MBW consultants before it's handed over to the contractor for commencement of repairs.
We are now in a brainstorm session together with the consultant to try and establish what exactly needs to be done.
UNRA spokesperson Alan Sempewa says repairs are only focusing on rectifying the defects on the bridge to sustain it until the new proposed bridge is complete.
We are intervening to rectify those defects so that the bridge is able to take us some more time, a few years, until we are ready with a permanent bridge crossing at that section of the highway, because we already have plans for a bigger bridge, bigger, longer and permanent bridge.
Emergency repair works are expected to be done by the local contractors yet to be identified, and work is expected to be complete within 3 months.
We have a local contractor. MBW Consulting, who has done the diagnostic survey and investigations on the bridge structure. Then we shall then pick on a contractor. Of course, we have to look at a contractor that has resources, has the capacity, and can do this job or has done it before.
Trucks will enter and exit West Nile through Gazette alternative roads.
Driving from Kampala to Gulu, while at Kafu they shall branch off to Masindi, then Maxon Falls National Park, Pakwach, Olio in Moya district, then access Gulu.
Accordingly, police has advised motorists of heavy cargo to use Kafu off to Masindi, then to Maxon Falls National Park, to Pakwach through Orio in Noya district for those heading to Gulu and coming from Kampala.
So also apply to all motorists driving from Gulu to Kampala, and these diversions are at Custom Corner on Anaka Road.
Plans and studies for the construction of the new Karuma Bridge are also underway.
We have already earmarked funds from the Japanese government. They are doing their own studies at the moment, and as soon as those studies and approvals are done, we should be able to implement a bridge at that section.
The new Karuma Bridge is expected to be funded by the Japanese government. Susan Naung and Joseph Bule reporting for EBC TV.
Speaker of Parliament Anita Among has expressed the need for Uganda National Roads Authority to expedite the works on Karuma to restore the bridge as fast as possible. She appealed to transporters not to hike the fares. This was during the sitting of Parliament, where she cited a public notice from UNRA that the bridge had deteriorated, and starting the 6th of May, which is today, access will be restricted to only passenger vehicles carrying about 28 passengers, which she says comes with implications of cost and delays.
Friday last week, Uganda National Roads Authority put out a public notice that some elements of Karuma bridge structure have deteriorated. UNRA closed down the bridge to heavy traffic starting May 6th for 3 months. Only passenger vehicles carrying about 28 people could access it. Alternative roads have been provided.
They have the capacity to fix what has gone wrong here. So those people will be directed to start work. The technicalities will be handled retrospectively.
Implore government to deploy security on all the alternative routes that have been created, because the highway robbers can take advantage of this.
Of the escalation of the travel charges, especially by the buses. For example, the proposed bus fare for Obongi to Kampala is going to double from 50,000 to 100,000.
Vehicles must pass there only during day. Most of the heavy vehicles normally travel at night.
And Madam Speaker, it is very risky. And I would think that the government need to divert all the roads. They should not leave only the small car to pass via there, because you don't know the magnitude and the capacity of the cracks.
The Speaker of Parliament, Anita Among, told a sitting of Parliament that this will come with implications of cost and delay, asking UNRA to expedite the works.
That it is going to increase the cost, but that should be avoided. And UNRA should do its work as fast as possible to ensure that we restore the bridge.
Nakaseke District Legislator Lutamaguzi said UNRA needs to check other bridges that are deteriorating on River Mayanja and on the road coming from Kanoni, Mityana and Busuju.
A bridge on River Mayanja that connects Nakaseke to Mityana, it has already carved in and vehicles are no longer passing.
It is not only that bridge. The bridge on Muchiragwe is caved in. The bridge on Kokatimba on the same road is not there.
Other members recommended hiring competent people to work on the bridges, while others say UNRA should provide a reliable ferry as an alternative.
That we ring fence this money specifically for ferries if we want to solve this matter.
Provide reliable ferry as an alternative from the Masindi port to Congo.
To Congo.
Because the ferry that has been there in the past has not, first of all, it is not reliable and it has very limited carrying capacity.
getting another ferry and increasing on what is there, and the timing is very, very important, because it will help us for people going to Lango region, even going to Acholi.
The Speaker raised the issue of disasters like the floods in Kenya, asking the Minister for Disaster Preparedness, Uganda readiness to avert the consequences. The legislators, including the Leader of Opposition George Senyonyi, asked the Ministry of Disaster about enacting the Disaster Management Bill and establishing the Disaster Commission.
It rained from Friday through Saturday up to Sunday. Just imagine if it remains the same for the next 2 weeks. What will happen in Uganda?
Commission in place, let the bill be brought, and then we can discuss the idea of giving you money when we know the docket to which exactly it's going, and then we hold you accountable.
The best thing we need to do is to allocate money to the office of the Prime Minister, especially the Minister for Disaster. And if you look at the budget now, you have forgotten allocating enough money for climate change department.
We need a budget. We can't do anything as a ministry if we don't have the budget. So far, I have requests from members, over 30 from 30 districts, and we are not able to do much. Right, Honorable Speaker, I would request this House to support the ministry with the relevant funding.
Plus, much as we are here lamenting, there is no money, and we need to provide money for that.
I'm Nafka Farida and Dan Lukomwa in Parliament.
Starting today, May the 6th, traffic flow across Karuma Bridge will be restricted to allow rehabilitation works. Heavy trucks and trailers from the northern and the West Nile regions and vice versa will be redirected, allowing lighter traffic only on the bridge. The Murchison Falls National Park Road is one of the alternative routes. We spoke to Uganda Wildlife Authority spokesperson Bashir Hangi on the new directive and their preparedness to handle increased traffic in their area.
It's the first day of the implementation of the Uganda National Roads Authority directive on the rehabilitation of the Karuma Bridge that is expected to take 3 months. The Public Relations Officer, Uganda Wildlife Authority, Bashir Hangi, told UBC that they will handle the traffic redirected to the Murchison Falls National Park route. Now, Mr. Bashir, you spoke about protecting wildlife. How exactly are you going to enforce these laws or regulations to ensure this?
Yeah, we understand that we are going to be having a lot of traffic on this road, but also we are up to the task because, look, the protection and conservation of wildlife is our trade. This is our mandate. If we fail this, then we will have failed as an institution. So we have adequately prepared personnel who will monitor the movements of these vehicles. For those who know, or those who may not be knowing, we have speed cameras in Murchison Falls National Park. So they're able to tell us the speed at which you are driving.
He emphasized that motorists need to adhere to the protected area guidelines. These include driving at a maximum speed of 40 kilometers per hour, not littering, and avoiding unnecessary stops in the park.
The idea of stopping over all the time has its own risks because you are moving in an area where there are so many animals, and these animals are wild and dangerous. And as such would not allow you to stop as and when you want, except for emergencies. And in the event of emergencies, we are always there to come and ensure that you are protected, ensure that you are safe, and help where we possibly can. So these, and of course the other aspect is that when you're driving inside the park, you can only drive through the park during the day, okay? Our gates open at 7 a.m. and they close at 7 p.m. So we do not allow any person to drive at night.
All vehicles entering the national park will be required to pay a park entry fee, except for those specifically prohibited from using the Karuma Bridge as per the Ugandan National Roads Authority directive.
This category of vehicles, the trailers, the lorries and buses, are allowed to go through the park at no fee. We have waived payment or park entrance payment fees for these trucks. So they will come and they will go through the park without having to pay any fees.
Karuma Bridge is closed to all lorries, trailers and buses. Only passenger vehicles carrying up to 28 passengers are allowed to use the bridge. UNRWA anticipates the intervention to be completed in 3 months. Maureen Babidie, Dennis Sigoa, reporting for UBC News.
Mixed reactions engulfed the special plenary sitting as legislators disagreed with a number of government proposals to impose additional tax which directly affect the low-income earners. The marathon session witnessed a heated debate throwing out the additional 300 shillings tax proposal on kerosene, among others. A minority report of the Parliamentary Committee on Finance put the government on pressure to produce the list of people to benefit from the tax exemption as proposed in the Income Tax Amendment Bill of 2024. Our team from Parliament has it in detail.
Honorable Let me give my information, then you give yours. The way you like.
This was part of the back-to-back foul mode as members of Parliament keenly paid attention to the new legislation to increase the domestic revenue in Uganda.
Madam Chair, I have consulted.
Each tax bill contained various proposals which to the legislators seemingly intend to exploit millions of Ugandans under the low-income group.
This information I am giving is from East African Community Tariff Regime as per 2023 on excise duty.
The House did not reach an agreement on imposing additional tax on fuel, including 100 shillings on both petrol and diesel. The report of the Parliamentary Committee on Finance on the Excise Duty Amendment Bill 2024 rejected the 300 shillings additional tax on kerosene.
Right, Honourable Speaker, at this stage, in this state of the economy, nobody should be talking about an increment of fuel tax, because we are affecting every single transaction that takes place in this country. When we increase a value on fuel, we are affecting every transaction that takes place, and this is why we are being unfair.
The other controversy derived from imposing a 0.5 charge on agent banking, where the MPs disagreed with the proposal. The Committee on Finance had, however, agreed that digitalizing financial transaction is vital, and the tax on agent banking is an equal treatment to the beneficiaries of mobile money services.
This agency bank has tried to create jobs for the youth, and the profit margin is very, very small, very, very small. Let me tell you.
Yeah, right, Honourable Speaker, you remember, we suffered with the government to fight the tax.
The MPs resurrected the past history of tax exemption, where the Bujagali Energy Limited has on several occasions benefited. In the Income Tax Amendment Bill 2024, Bujagali reappeared, seeking for a 1-year extension of tax exemption of the corporate income tax.
Let us now take leverage of the dams which we have built and refuse this extension of Bujagali. Because what is happening, right, Honourable Speaker, is becoming impunity. Because you are paying already them on their capital investment, they pick it and take it out. All the money they bring in loans, they pick and take it, it's exempt. Their capital, they pick it and take it. And we're coming and telling them that now, again, we're exempt. I've failed to understand up to now.
What we needed to hear from the ministry is how far they have gone with the audit. Because we are going to be pushed into a corner to say we reject, and then government will turn around and say your parliament is the one that has led to the tariff to rise.
We need to insist and say, let that audit be done. If it is our fault that that audit has not been done, then let's check ourselves and fix that issue, because otherwise then we might make 2 mistakes.
The minority reports disagreed with the status where the MPs tasked government to produce the list of the beneficiaries of tax exemption, citing invisible hand.
I do not know why they keep holding on to that list. We have tasked the Minister of Finance severally to table here a list of all the beneficiaries of tax waivers.
That you can't have a bill that seeks to raise 40 billion, and in the same bill you are exempting more than what you are seeking to gain. So
the Minister of State for Finance, Henry Musasizi, made a commitment to the House to reorder an audit of the Vujagali Energy Limited as per the previous recommendations of Parliament.
The audit has delayed.
Lop is asking how much time?
I want now to commit to persuade this audit within
Honorable
6 months from
listen,
now.
6 months.
Within 6 months from now, we have this audit in place.
In the Income Tax Amendment Bill 2024, the MPs rejected the proposal to introduce 5% tax on non-business assets like incomes from all factors of production, including land.
There is already a capital gains tax arising from the sale of shares in the private limited liability company provided under Section 21K of the Income Tax Act. Imposing a rate of 5% will cause a conflict in the implementation of the provision.
The tax legal framework is among the government's strategies to increase the domestic revenue mobilization.
Plus the VAT.
Daniel Mugoya, UBC News.
A heated debate on taxes that was in Parliament the whole of today, by the way. We thank you so much for watching. It's News Tonight. Let's take a short break. Don't miss what we have on return.
The Uganda National Oil Company, UNOC, is wholly owned by the government of Uganda and was established to safeguard and promote Uganda's commercial interests in the petroleum sector. UNOC has two subsidiaries, the Uganda Refinery Holding Company, URHC, which will hold a 40% stake in the 60,000 barrel per day refinery and manage the development of Kabalega Industrial Park, and the National Pipeline Company Limited, NPC, in charge of pipelines, storage, and downstream business ventures. This subsidiary holds 15% interest in the East African Crude Oil Pipeline, EACOP. EACOP is a 1,445-kilometer long pipeline that will transport crude oil through 10 districts in Uganda to the port of Tanga in Tanzania. UNOC is also actively engaged in crude oil exploration, development, and production activities, and its participation role includes a 15% stake in the Tilenga, Nwoya, and Bulisa, and Kingfisher development projects, Chikure. UNOC also holds the exploration license for Kasuruban Block in Hoima, Bulisa, and Masindi. UNOC currently owns and manages the Ginger Storage Terminal and will build a 320 million litre capacity terminal in MPG called the Kampala Storage Terminal. At UNOC, we're harnessing the potential of Uganda's petroleum resources, forging a sustainable future and preserving the natural beauty of Uganda. UNOC, your partner in Uganda's oil and gas industry.
MTN Moment kutusa Usi live in concert kujahazi PM Nyonyo Mo hip hop kunarubale Wakanga 18 Mei 2024 Ena fefe bosi weekend Kama koma rapo na nyini freestyle Jangora mwana wakulu kutemi kama nganiga sasa lipa mchamba Misala na chinonga tuli marapu melele Poking mtwale bidi Vyebi mtwale tano Emeza kakande Emeza vya milioni satu Downloading MTN Momo app osaliweke bitunda 5 kubuli 10 ku tiketi woguli ko MTN Momo tiketi egula mtwalo gumo ate VIP ebiri kitundu tulina ne boat cruise Itedwa mu Center MC MTN Momo Givo establishment the angry management.
Once upon a time, there lived identical twins who gave birth to beautiful princes and princesses.
Their mothers gave their babies' bodies a lot of care by applying on their skin with baby Junior jelly.
So dried their targets and everyone would admire their glowing skin. Fun fact, baby Junior prevents diaper rash, dry and sensitive skin.
Moms all over Africa love baby Junior jelly. Baby Junior the skin. No more worries anymore. Baby Junior. Baby Junior.
We thank you so much for watching and welcome back from the break. The rising water levels on Lake Victoria is posing a risk to the water transport system, including boats. Boat operators at Mulungu landing site in Munyonyo around Lake Victoria say that the rising water levels have hidden obstacles like stones under the water, affecting visibility during navigation.
At Kalungu landing site in Munyonyo around Lake Victoria, people cross from Munyonyo side to the islands of Kalangala on boats. But this could be risky if the water levels continue to rise.
Put out an obstacle due to hiding some big stones in the lake, whereby the places you've never cruised from, it's not easy to go there because the engine may got some failures in the gearbox and some of the machines, cause we normally collide with those stones to this water level. So
according to the boat operators, the rising water levels are posing a risk because obstacles in water like stones and broken islands are no longer visible. Alan Bott is the chairperson of the boat operators at Kalungu landing site and explains the situation.
It's like some of our fellas, their engines have failed to work because of the stones, the big stones in the lake, because many were hidden by the increasing water levels. And another obstacle we face.
Meanwhile, the fishermen at Kalungu Fish Fry landing site say they have not been affected by the rising water levels. Business is normal.
Wabula ebyennyanja bibaako sizoni webanga byakubula niwegabanga amazzi matono bibula, webanga byakulabika nebanga amazzi mangi ebyennyanja bikola ki? Kati amazzi fiwa ne mulungu tekalina kikatukosezaako wadde kuba emirimu gyaffe gitambula buki, era bakasoma tebabeereeyo ne balowooza nti emulungu amazzi kati gali amaanyi ndoza tetukyakola. Atukolera ddala kubanga amazzi gwe tegakola ki?
Philip Aguta for UBC News in Kampala.
The Buganda Kingdom has advised government to fight corruption that is hindering development in the country. The kingdom is also concerned over the sharing of the national cake, that some areas are given bigger compared to others. This was in the speech of the Katikiro of Buganda, Charles Peter Maiga, while addressing the Luchiko members at Pulange Mengo during a session where they discussed different matters.
The Buganda Luchiko members have turned up to attend the first sitting of 2024 Luchiko. The Speaker of Buganda Luchiko, Owekitiibwa Patrick Luwaga Mugombole, chaired the session. Recently, Kabaka appointed new county chiefs who took oath. Thus advising public to remain calm.
Kabaka is out of the country on treatment, and his medical team preferred that he stays with them for some time so that they monitor the progress of his health. And for as long as the Kabaka and the medical team feel that it's time for him to return and come back home.
Maiga also advised government to address corruption that is hindering development in the country.
Distribution of resources should follow a pattern of how the revenue is being generated. And that acts as a disincentive for the payment of taxes. When lots of money is generated in and around Kampala, but then the road network is bad, when the hospitals in those areas are not equipped with medicine and equipment, when the schools are not well catered for in those areas, of course it acts as a disincentive for the payment of taxes. So there must be fairness.
He advised politicians, despite their political ideologies, to respect each other for the good of Uganda.
Being abusive or hounding others is a lame strategy. It's no strategy at all, actually. So the politicians must learn to sit down and talk to each other. They have a cup of coffee and they resolve their differences. Even where you sit over a cup of coffee and you don't resolve your differences, at least you agree to disagree, respecting one another. But calling each other names is no strategy at all. And I'll tell you something else. If you're in public life, you need to build alliances. You need to build bridges, not to burn bridges. How do you cross the stormy waters when you are busy burning bridges?
Some Luchiko members also addressed issues that affect their areas.
Abakulembeze bonna aba gavumenti y'abakati naffe ab'obuweereza bwa Ssaabasajja Kabaka okuddayo okusomesa abantu baffe bamanye sente evudde mu mwanyi emwanyi obutatulimba tulina gikukwata tutya.
Abaana abasibibwa oba balina emisango oba tebalina misango tebaweebwa mukisa kulaba nti bamira eddagala lyabwe. Nsaba Obwakabaka buyambeko ku bantu baffe okulaba nti gavumenti naddala babakwata babayamba okumiranga eddagala.
The first Deputy Katikiro, Professor Twaha Kawase, Buganda ministers, head of kingdom agencies and other people attended the Luchiko. I'm Nafka Farida and Andrew Sebira.
Taking you back to the issue of rising waters in Lake Victoria, the increasing water levels have affected fishermen at Chigungu landing site after being left with no docking areas for their boats. At least over 1,000 households in Mayanzi, Bunonko, Misoli have also been displaced. The increasing water levels are due to heavy rainfall, and local leaders are calling upon relevant authorities to come to the rescue of the affected communities.
Living around Lake Victoria shores in Entebbe municipality have been affected by the increasing water levels. Residents of Mayanzi, Binonko, Misoli have also been cut off by Lake Victoria waters, being regarded as the most affected communities.
We have had a saga of increased waters on Lake Victoria due to too much rains, and we are now appealing to the government to come on board and put a permanent solution, because this issue has been happening over and over for years.
Naddala mawogo, lumonde, mayuni, byonna bifudde, kasooli, n'ebisolo byennyini nnyini tebikyali birwadde, n'abantu bennyini balwadde.
Ngaba amatooke yange weefuna ku ssente neefuna school fees. Mama wange weyaweze n'emyaka 9 mu mmeka mwemuweereza.
At Chigungu Missionary Landing Site, fishermen are stranded with no docking areas for boats.
The major source of income in Division B is fishing. We all depend on this lake here. So the water tables have raised, so many people have got affected, they have nowhere to dock, and there is that conflict between the boat owners or the fishermen with the so-called landlords who claims to own land up to the lake.
So since the boats dock at the lake shores, we are appealing to the landowners that this is not a long-time exercise or activity. We are asking them to allow the boats dock as the government comes on board to look for a permanent solution for such issues.
At Chigungu Catholic Church, a monument that marks the spot where the first Catholic missionaries arrived in Uganda is submerged.
Tibotunya church eno amansi ne mapera bagenda okugoba ono ennyanja yali wala nnyo era kyaviirako bannaffe abaaliwo mu kiseera ekyo bakadde baffe okuzimba church eno mu kifo kino ne kati bw'otunuulira church nga bw'eri olaba nga amazzi gagyetoolodde era gagimalawo.
Residents are appealing to the Catholic Church to save the historical church from being demolished by surging waters. According to Bakaki Robert, the chairperson Chigungu fishing community, the landing site has challenges. However, residents and local leaders are concerned that the fishing communities are at high risk of contracting waterborne diseases.
Majority of the people, they are owning pit latrines. So when it rains, the water, this lake water or storm water always joins the toilets. So we are appealing to the Ministry of Earth also to pick interest into this saga.
Meanwhile, Uganda Meteorological Authority says heavy rainfall is still expected and advised people in prone areas to relocate.
Uganda prison authorities have confirmed to court that it cannot handle the illness of Mole Katanga, wife to the deceased Henry Katanga, while in prison. According to prisons, the accused Mole Katanga is suffering from paranasal hypertension with multiple breast masses on the right breast, which can be managed by the prison's authorities. In another development, the Anti-Corruption High Court has set the 26th of May to resume with the hearing of a case where State Minister for Finance Amos Lugolobi is accused of misappropriation of iron sheets for Karamoja.
Mole Katanga, wife to the deceased Henry Katanga, has made a second bail application to High Court Criminal Division, situated in Kampala. Among the grounds produced in the application, a letter from the prison authorities confirming to court that prison can't handle illness while in prison. Mole Katanga, who is in Luzula Government Prison, is facing charges of allegedly murdering her husband, Henry Katanga. The case including her two daughters, Martha Nkwanza Katanga and Patricia Kakwanza, their Shamba boy, and a medical practitioner, Tai Charis. Evidence on court records from the prison authorities shows that the accused Mole Katanga is suffering from paranasal sinuses, hypertension with multiple breast masses. On her right breast, it is also alleged that the accused suffers from vitiligo and a post-traumatic stress disease, which can't be managed while in prison. Mole Katanga legal team has asked court to release on bail. The case before Judge Isaac Muat of High Court Criminal Division, court has directed prosecution to make its response on 13th May 2024 and the applicant to make any rejoinder, if any, on 14th May 2024. Judge Isaac Muat has set 21st May 2024 to rule in the bail application. This is the second time Mole Katanga is applying for bail. In the first bail application, court was of the view that the case was ready for hearing and that the accused will interfere with the ongoing investigations. Meanwhile, the applicant Mole Katanga didn't appear physically in court. Businessman Henry Katanga was murdered in Mbuya Chwatu Lord, Nakawa Division, Kampala District. In the meantime, the Anti-Corruption High Court has set 26th May 2024 to resume with the hearing of the case against the State Minister for Finance Amos Lugolobi. Minister Amos Lugolobi is facing offences related to dealing with suspect property, as is involved in the mismanagement of Karamoja iron sheets. The case before Judge Jane Kajuga, Minister Lugolobi did not make it to court. 7 witnesses have so far testified in this case. Deborah Ndama Monde, UBC News.
Journalists across Bunyoro sub-region gathered in Masindi municipality to celebrate World Press Day. The event brought together media professionals from Masindi, Hoima, Kiliandongo and Ulisa districts.
The celebration included various activities such as football matches and a dinner. Dignitaries, including members of parliament, LC5 officials and corporate communications manager of Chinyara Sugar Limited were present.
As Chinyara, can we work to improve and work better for the betterment of
the importance of journalism in raising awareness, promoting accountability and driving action on environmental issues was emphasized.
Throw away a lot of things to make sure you put the story across. Some of the stories are hard, some of them are heavy, some of them are hot. And at the end of the day, some of you have received phone calls from some people.
Journalists were encouraged to uphold the truth and resilience when covering.
Pull out right back from the communities. When you go reach out to the communities down there, you'll find that there are a lot of informed issues, especially down to the common man. The services they feel they will not reach them, and they were reaching their messages through us.
In Nyarueyo Sub-County, Kakumiro District, residents anticipate a brighter economic future following a full utilization of government programs. The progress is spearheaded by an NRM senior mobilizer in Bunyoro Sub-Region, Harriet Tibuli Huasali, who calls upon all communities to access government economic programs. She urges the communities to participate in this year's National Census exercise for government and has pledged inclusive development and collaborative efforts to uplift every family in Bugangaizi West.
In Kachiseke Parish, Nyareyo Sub-County, Kakumiro District, community members welcomed the assessment exercise conducted by Bunyoro Sub-Region Senior NRM Mobilizer Harriet Tulihwa Sali. The community talked about improved access to economic empowerment services in Bugangazi West. During the assessment exercise, community members, including youth, the elderly, and women, shared the challenges they face in accessing government economic livelihood services for vulnerable groups.
As the women, we normally suffer. When we go to the hospital, it is very far. From here to Nalway, we use a lot of money. If you don't have money, you can't afford.
Kalengeno kakiseke batunyigiriza munno. Tukererwa bukijja kijja leti netafuna mu budde kale nadala PDM
ekisinga okunumya kuzeemyoga sente zeemyoga basindika ku district nezikwamirayo gurupu y'abantu nga 30 ne bajiwa milioni 5.
They wanted enhanced access and support to fully benefit from government programs.
We request at least government should help us and give us a secondary school, a hospital.
Twandyagadde government era tujukubirize tuyambe etuweereza obudde etusomese engeri gye bitambulamu.
Harriet Tulihwa Sali engaged with community members, listening to their concerns about the parish development model funds and emyoga. She promised equitable access to programs that cater to the diverse needs of all residents.
They have not really benefited from those programs as a community. Yet they are very eager to also work hand in hand with government, to also feel the heart that their government has for them. I have advised them on this, that to at least work hand in hand with the district, with their leaders, to see that they get on board and they benefit from these programs.
On the upcoming national census exercise, Sally encouraged communities to embrace the exercise, which also determines effective planning and resource allocation.
Take part in the national household population census, which is starting on 10th. I have also advised them to take care of their children, to take care of themselves.
She reiterated the NRM's government's commitment to poverty eradication and called upon residents to support government initiatives at every level. The dialogue between communities reflects ongoing efforts to address concerns and enhance service delivery for all residents. Robert Boita compiled this report.
We've hit refresh with Castle Lights. A premium new look. With the shiny silver label. An innovative cold indicator. A premium green neck label for a crisp and easy drinking beer. Fresh new look. Experience the fresh new Castle Light.
Uganda's biggest tourism and travel trade show of the year is here again. The 8th edition of the Pearl of Africa Tourism Expo Poate 2024 under the theme Responsible Tourism will be taking place at the Speak Resort Convention Center, Munyonyo from the 23rd to the 25th of May 2024. It's your chance to connect with tourism and travel professionals from across the globe. Discover travel holiday deals, packages, and so much much more. Visit www.poate.co.ug to register and be part of the event. The Pearl of Africa Tourism Expo, Poate, is brought to you by the Uganda Tourism Board.
UBC Business News tonight. UCUSAF, a rural digital empowerment fund by the Uganda Communications Commission and partners, have trained women and girls on digital literacy in Awili Sub-County, Dokolo North Constituency, Dokolo District. This training is a strategy to close the digital literacy gaps faced by several rural communities in Uganda.
As government steadily adopts technology in boosting public service efficiency, there is a growing concern that disproportionate access to ICT services.
Anika kanata anika pitere smartphone. Niera kubere.
Many Ugandans, especially the women, are being left behind. And that's why we've come on ground to the rural area to make sure that these people are also onboarded online. Because services, now for example, getting a tin, you have to do it online. It's no longer going to a government office.
The women's faces at the learning center lit up with curiosity and excitement as they unboxed their training smart tablets. This cohort consists of over 130 women and girls from Amwiri Sub-County, Dokolo District, and they are being taught basic digital literacy skills.
Ever since I was born, I've never used like iPad, but today I've got a chance even to touch an iPad. I learned how to open and see how the hubs are working, and trying to know how to use the email.
Trainings are to be duplicated in 7 villages across 7 districts in the month of May.
We are right now in Dokolo. We are going to go to Otuke. After here, we will move north to Kitugum, and then right after the population census, we'll come back to Zombo, Maracha, Nebi, and Koboko. These particular districts have been cherry-picked after we conducted a baseline study to understand the needs of the women in these areas. Baseline meaning that we came here and understood what are your needs as a woman in business or in your household. Do you have a smartphone? If you have a smartphone, what do you use it for? Do you access social media?
Uganda Communications Commission's Universal Service and Access Fund, UCUSAF, formerly Rural Communications Development Fund, was established in 2001 by the Uganda Communications Commission to implement development of rural communications and information and communication technologization of universal establishment.
Traffic was disrupted along Bombo Road in Bwaise and access road to Nabweru, where market vendors operating in Bwaise 1 market protested eviction from the facility after Rex by Investments Limited handed it over to an investor. They blocked the roads for near an hour, causing traffic jam.
Recently, Bwaise 1 market vendors appealed to the concerned authorities, including the Buganda Kingdom, to intervene in the matter after hearing news of their pending evictions.
Okusinzira abakulu baffe batugamba ntugenda okuva mu katale kano. Tewali n'omu nga Lexeba etutwalanga kampuni ya Ssaabasajja Kabaka tiyali azzeeko mu katale kano n'atuuza olukiiko lw'abasuubuzi.
However, sensing that the move would take long yet the deadline was approaching, they protested.
Okuva n'olwaleero twagabwenkanya obwakatale bwano twekoya ababbi muzayi tutaasa tukoya ababbi b'ettaka abatutunda dda tugenda kwekalakaasa bwekalakaasi kubanga naffe twagala pulezidenti aveeyo asobole otuzimbira akatale. Pulezidenti ne luli yayogera ku mawulire n'agamba bannaye abagagga muve ku butale.
The aggrieved vendors and traders used wooden tomato boxes to block the roads, demonstrating and sitting in the road. They vowed not to leave the market facility.
Tulina kooti, tuli mu kooti. Era twagenda mu kooti abantu abo tebatuwuliriza. bakola era twagenda mu koti twamale wiki emu ate ne batamaje bintu bino bibanga birambulukufu tulina okubeera n'awamu bateese n'abo abantu babasasule.
Due to the failure of traffic police to control the traffic outflow, Kawempe police led by DPC Abe Muwonge appeared in the vicinity to calm the situation. However, DPC Muwonge found it hard to convince the protesters.
Bwe mubanga mulina okwekalakaasa kwe mwagala okukola buli muntu wa ddembe okwekalakaasa naye tulina emitendera gye tuyitamu.
Market 1 Lubanjwa Senono dared traders not to quit as they had no formal agreement.
Tuwa obusuulu ebbanga lyonna nabo bakimanyi era si tuziyina ezikola kizaaka ku busuulu kale kano kavaako mu mikono gy'obwakabaka bwa Buganda nekatako mu KCC naye nekasolowozaako emyaka egiwerera kumpi musanvu tukola ki tuziyina olw'ensonga eyo batuwulirize.
Even when Boisewano Market is a property owned by the Kabaka of Buganda but managed by Rexba Investments, the traders accuse Rexba CEO Robert Sewava of the evictions. Sewava in defense had this to say.
Teri musuubuzi ayinza kutegeera mugaso gwa nkulaakulana. Bye boogera nti abasuubuzi babaagalayo gye balaga bikyamu ekyo tekiriiyo. Eno enotisi ya KCC gye yampa ebimpa Novemba nga lumu.
Ivan Juko, Viola Nakasaga for UBC.
Liberation, revolution.
One of the weapons for peace and stability of the country.
When we're landing under fire.
That is the spirit.
UBC News Tonight. Despite the fact that many of their encampments at university campuses have been dismantled, pro-Palestine demonstrators in the United States are standing their ground. If the protesters continue, some analysts say they could have an impact on the 2024 presidential elections. In the world of sport, Cricket Association has this afternoon announced the squad that will represent Uganda at the upcoming 2024 ICC T20 World Cup in West Indies and USA. The 14-man squad includes players Juma Miyaji, Cosmas Cheuta, Alfesh Ramjani, Riazat Ali Shah, Ronak Patel, Roger Mkasa, Simon Sesazi, Henry Senyondo, Robinson Obuya, Fred Achelam, Bilal Hassan, Frank Nsubuga, Kenneth Waiswa, Dinesh Nakran and Captain Brian Masaba. Traveling reserves will be Innocent Mwebaze and Ronald Dutaya. The team currently is in Sri Lanka on a training tour. Will face New Zealand, Papua New Guinea, Afghanistan and hosts West Indies in Group C at the World Cup stage. The World Cup will run from the 2nd to the 29th of June 2024, with Uganda starting our campaign on the 3rd of June 2024 against Afghanistan. This is the first time Uganda will be appearing at the T20 World Cup. The 2024 Father Grimes National Schools Chess Championship, which is the 38th edition, has started at St. Mark's College, Namagoma. Our reporter has details to the tournament.
Close to 1,000 players have converged at St. Mark's College, Namagoma, Wakiso District for this year's Father Grimes National Schools Chess Championship.
Last year we had about 134 teams
representing about 57 schools countrywide. This year we have 160 teams from about 82 teams. So we have seen an exponential growth. Like Wanyange girls, they have come up. We've seen Bara High. We have seen schools like Savio schools participating, and many others in the different categories. This is a very good breeding ground for new talent, and we think going forward, chess is going to grow as a result of having a vibrant and strong growing national schools chess championships.
This highly rated championship is under the auspices of Uganda Chess Federation that prides in many attributes it offers.
The Father Graham's National Schools Chess Championship is responsible for the deep culture of chess in Uganda, and we can say that most of the players have honed their skills through this event. It gives the students an opportunity to compete amongst their peers and in a good academic environment. So today we are witnessing an event that is responsible for the culture of chess in Africa, and especially Uganda, which is an African powerhouse.
It has attracted participants from schools like St. Apollo Kagwa, Hoima Chigaga, Ngora High School, and St. Mark's College Namagoma.
We are privileged this year to be hosting the chess competition for schools. As a school, we have not had an active chess team for the school. We have been having players who come as students and then they study and then they go away. But the hosting of chess this year has resurrected the interest among the students.
The competition is in 4 categories, including primary girls, secondary girls, primary open, and secondary open. Thus far, the participants have contested 3 of the 9 rounds.
And I won the game, and it made me happy, and it also makes me like to gain confidence for the next game.
My competitor was so excellent, was so good, they were so, was so very well, but at times people make mistakes, so he made some slight mistakes, so that's why I got a win.
My first round in this game has been kind of an experience that I will live to remember, because it's my first time to play it, and yeah, it has really taught me that I can do better.
In the secondary open category, Ndeje Senior Secondary School A, St. Henry's College Tovu A, and St. Mary's College Kisubi A started brightly. St. Andrew's Kagwa Gombe A was awesome in the early rounds of the secondary girls. In the primary open category of this 3-day championship, schools like KCCA Kamwocha, St. Miriam Dagan Kamwocha, and Kampala Academy have decent teams. In the primary girls category, Namirembe Parents, Peak Primary, and Apollo Kagwa finished day 1 in the top positions.
That brings us to the end of all we had for you at this particular point. We'll get back with another arrangement at 10 p.m. Please keep it with us. Let's catch you then. My name is Micheal Lukomwa with my partner in crime, Elizabeth Nakagoni. See you then.
UBC, inspiring Uganda.
Nyati Motion Pictures brings you to Kopamoja, West Nile segment or Lado Enclave. Learn how the cosmopolitan region of Lukbara, Kakwa, Aringa, and the Madi